This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
At a time when foreign armies ruled over China, a courageous people remained defiant and prepared to protect their way of life. When their most honored champion falls to a powerful enemy, a nation mourns. But one will rise to defend his legacy and fight to become his nation's greatest hero. Experience the star of Fearless and the Forbidden Kingdom in the movie critics are calling a brilliant kung fu masterpiece. Jet Li, Fist of Legend. Out now on Blu-ray and DVD. They came to break a nation's will. But one man stood to defy them.
You better lose this time.
Our victory is guaranteed.
From the producers of Hero and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Jet Li in his final martial arts epic. Jet Li's Fearless.
We mixed. We loaded it. We edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
Another fun topic that's kind of on that same track. So you guys, before you came here, you mentioned how you were Fist of Legend fans. I really do find it amazing how person who inspired that. So I think I have it right. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Kind of like one Fei Hong who inspired, the Once Upon a Time in China and Drunken Master is like the teacher who inspired the character who he plays in that Bruce Lee throwback of Fist of Legend is who he basically portrayed in Fearless. I might have it backwards.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But see, that was a total literal 1-2 punch. Like growing up for me, like I really did dig Jet Li's style because like even if he didn't always have the best dialogue delivery, like he really looked the part, and kind of like Keanu Reeves, totally different kind of actors, but similar in that very physical intensity. Like, and he looks like he's a cop. He looks like he's a protege of a karate school. He looks like an everyday guy who, happens to also know self-defense or be a bodyguard. And I think Fist of Legend was just really at his best because you had some of that guy, from a who's who of Hong Kong cinema interweaved between, and then how, it's a total Fists of Fury throwback, you know, or Chinese Connection throwback. Sorry, you know, I'll try to get it right. And I was like, see, that's cool. Like he was so Bruce Lee influenced, and then he's really acknowledging it finally.
Yeah, I mean, he not only acknowledged it, but he just
He wiped
I'm
the
not going to say
floor.
yeah. I mean, he didn't. I mean, I've watched, actually, it's been years, but I did watch both films kind of back to back. Just,
Yeah,
that was so,
people
I don't know,
forget
just,
these used to be on TV a lot. Now
oh yeah.
everybody's pretty much just re-showing stuff that came out a few years back. I'm like, oh, come on. You know, it shouldn't have to be on streaming or only at a DVD store, you know. Ah,
That's why I'm thankful for my collection. So if I can't, if it's not on TV, I can just go downstairs.
right?
Well, you know, I revisited Fist of Legend here this week. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, and it struck me how I don't know if I can use the F word here, but how how fucking sharp and crisp and brutal the fight scenes are, or the choreography.
Yeah.
You know, it's I mean,
but the right kind of brutal. Like it wasn't, I'm gonna just misuse a martial art, or I'm gonna just do it just to show off. Like, and
but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Even if the pedestrian characters, you know, I do think a lot of Jet Li movies were better dubbed, like compared to so many others. Like, even though he didn't do the voice, they would often get the persona down, and very little was cut out, you know. And Fist of Legend, I think, just it literally does strike harder. Like, it is a fast moving movie,
Yeah.
and it's like pretty much you remember three key scenes, and they all click instead of one big indistorted mess, you know, or anything, you know. No, I totally buy what's being said.
I read somewhere, and with somewhere I mean IMDb, that Fist of Legend is the movie that the Wachowski siblings used as an inspiration for The Matrix, for the fighting scenes. And you have
absolutely,
of course the Yuan Wu Ping is involved there, but it's really visible when you watch Fist of Legend how much inspiration they took from this movie in The Matrix, because there's literally some, you know, identical moves going on there, and a lot of the style. I think it's I really like The Matrix, but I think Fist of Legend has superior fighting anyway.
I think, well, in all fairness, like, because I was such a Matrix guy growing up, I did want to know all the movies it was influenced by. And me and my sister, you know, my sister would do this, you know, with anime and everything, and you know, she had like bootlegs of like Sailor Moon and everything, and we all knew about the whole, you know, Alan Smithy, and my uncle did as well. But sometimes I would have to explain to people, and they wouldn't believe us. It'd be like, someone went. I would get very petulant remarks like, someone went out of their way to troll me or make a bad movie. I'm like, no, that's not it. Like, a lot of the times they would get these great filmmakers from overseas and take advantage of them, or Hollywood wouldn't treat them right. And so lo and behold, I just made my debut, and there's some cultural misinterpretations, and then there's just some other stuff that's just literally not translating well. And Fist of Legend was always given just a proper like treatment here. Like, it somehow it was just, I do miss that era of Jet Li films where I'm just like, yeah, I just seeing just all his stuff back to back. It was, I felt every punch. I believed that he could do what was on screen. You know, going back briefly to Fearless for a minute, I remember when that came out, and I was like, man, that's a heavy movie. Like, that's really sad. And my mother didn't believe it. And it's funny having to tell certain family members that they're not meaning to judge a book by their cover, but they still are. You know, they're like, yeah, I can't believe you find this movie emotional. I'm like, it's not a dumb, mindless movie. I remember one positive review of Fearless was claiming it was like watching all the Rockies back to back. I'm like, it is, but it's a little more than that. You know, it's not what I would call formulaic. And that was interesting because it was an unofficial Michelle Yeoh reunion. Apparently, I would see parts of the director's cut, and they had her in there, like in the second half, as like a reporter, and that was a one movie where, again, like it's interesting how when you see a sports kind of movie and something like that, like yes, the main audience is going to go, "Oh, I love the fights," but then the drama fans of us, we see the overall deal, like how these guys have their own philosophy, that's how they find themselves, coincidentally enough, in what's an otherwise not highly respected profession. I think that there's a reason you see all these mixed fighting and street fighting and boxing movies that appeal even to those who don't like watching something like that as a sport. It's interesting having to see the dark side of humanity represented through that, and feeling all 1 minute excitement, next minute tragedy, and then some historical subtext in between, like, oh yeah, this is what whoever was in charge of this regime or this soldier in this faction was overseeing a sports game like that. Or and the case of the movie Fearless, you're seeing some fights that have been fixed, and he still comes through, or he goes against a fighter who's never been defeated before and gives him a taste of his own medicine, and sometimes just barely. It's interesting how you create a maze of all this conflict and challenges in the span of one movie, and it sounds hard to explain to people when there's no visual to go on, but like, again, a lot of Jet Li's material really is worth seeing,
Mm-hmm.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up